Okay, so there's some big news on the global trade front. India and New Zealand have just signed a massive free trade agreement. This is a deal that's been more than a decade in the making, and it's really set to reshape their whole economic relationship. So let's get into what it all means. And look, this isn't just some run-of-the-mill trade deal. New Zealand's Prime Minister, Christopher Luxon, is calling it a once-in-a-generation pact. When a world leader uses words like that, you know this is a pretty big deal. It signals just how important this is for both sides. So, here's what we're going to cover in this breakdown. We'll start with the long journey to this historic handshake. Then we'll get into the specific wins for both India and New Zealand. After that, we'll see how the deal was balanced to protect key industries. And finally, we'll zoom out to the big picture strategy.
All right, first up, the historic handshake. And believe me, this thing did not happen overnight. It's actually the final chapter in a long and, at times, pretty challenging journey.
Getting this deal done was a real marathon, not a sprint. Talks first kicked off way back in 2010, but then they hit a wall in 2015 and just stalled for a full decade. It wasn't until 2025 that things got moving again, and from there, they actually wrapped it up pretty quickly. This long, drawn-out history is exactly why the final signing is such a massive diplomatic win. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. What's in it for India? Well, if you had to sum it up in one word, it would be access. This deal basically throws open the doors for Indian exporters in a huge new way. This is the big one. The headline number for India is 100%. 100%. That's how many of India's exports will now get duty-free access to the New Zealand market. It's a complete top-to-bottom opening for Indian goods. Just incredible. And this is absolutely crucial for some really important labor-intensive industries like textiles, leather, and engineering goods. When you slash those tariffs, these products instantly become more competitive, which, you guessed it, should mean more exports and more jobs. And it also clears the way for high-growth sectors like IT and financial services. But wait, this deal isn't just about shipping boxes of goods. It also carves out a brand new visa pathway for up to 5,000 skilled Indian professionals to go work in New Zealand for 3 years at a time. I mean, this is a huge win for India's massive services sector and a clear sign of just how important it is in the country's trade strategy. And we're not just talking about coders and IT pros here. The opportunities cover everything from engineering and healthcare to some really unique Indian skill sets. We're talking Ayush practitioners, yoga instructors, even Indian chefs and music teachers. It's a powerful statement about the incredible range of Indian talent. Okay, but a deal has to work for both sides, right? It's a two-way street. So what's in it for New Zealand? Well, for them, the big prize is getting better access to one of the largest and fastest-growing consumer markets on the planet. And for New Zealand, the benefits kick in right away. Right off the bat, more than half, 54% of their exports to India become duty-free, just like that. And the tariffs on the rest, they'll be reduced or totally phased out over time, giving their exporters a major leg up. For some of New Zealand's most famous industries, this is a total game changer. Products you probably associate with them, like sheep meat and wool, along with things like forestry products and seafood, will now find it way easier to compete in the huge Indian market. That's a massive boost for them. Now, an agreement this huge, it's all about finding that delicate balance, right? Both countries had to make sure their most sensitive domestic industries were protected, and the final deal really shows how they pulled that off. So that brings up a really important question, probably one you're thinking right now. What about India's farmers? With all these new imports potentially coming in, how did the negotiators make sure to protect those key domestic sectors? Well, it looks like India's negotiators built some pretty strong protective walls into this deal. Some entire sectors, like dairy and sugar, were just completely left out, off the table. For other sensitive products, like apples and kiwi fruit, India has tools like tariff rate quotas to control how much comes in. It's a really smart, surgical approach to trade. So let's look at the final scorecard here, just to sum it all up. For India, you've got 100% duty-free access for goods and that new visa quota for professionals. For New Zealand, you've got immediate and eventual tariff elimination for their key exports. And the crucial part? Both sides managed to carve out protections for their most sensitive areas. It's a textbook example of strategic compromise. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second, because this deal is about so much more than just tariff lines and trade statistics. It's a really important piece in the much larger puzzle of India's economic and geopolitical strategy. And the ambition here is, well, it's huge. Right now, trade between the two countries is around $2.4 billion. The goal is to more than double that, to hit $5 billion by 2030. This FTA is basically the engine that's designed to make that happen. And it's not just about what's being bought and sold. We're talking about major investment. This deal is expected to bring in as much as $20 billion in foreign direct investment from New Zealand into India over the next 15 years. That's a huge influx of capital that can really fuel growth.
The strategy here, it's like a game of 4D chess. This deal helps India strengthen its ties in the super important Indo-Pacific region, it helps diversify its trade partners, and it establishes a strong foothold in a high-value market that can act as a gateway to the rest of Oceania. It's a very clever geopolitical move.
India's Commerce Minister, Piyush Goyal, really captured the spirit of the whole thing. He said it reflects trust, shared values, and a common vision for mutual prosperity. It's about more than just numbers. It's about building a partnership. All of this really brings us to one big, thought-provoking question. You've got a deal that achieves massive market access, but also has strong domestic protections, all while serving bigger strategic goals. Is this carefully crafted agreement the new playbook for how India approaches global trade? All right, that's our deep dive for today. If you found this useful, definitely hit that like button, share it, and subscribe for more breakdowns just like this one. So what are your thoughts on the India-New Zealand deal? Let us know down in the comments. Thanks for watching.